Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Bollocks. That's right, with me, I nearly said co-host, your host, co-host, split personality. I am Howard H. Smith. I am your host. I am the host of the Talking Bollocks podcast. Have been for a good old few years now, since 2014. And I also sing in UK thrash band Acid Rain. First album for 29 years came out in 2019, so give that a listen. Also, I perform stand-up comedy as the character Keith Platt, and obviously, as already mentioned, I does this here podcast, and I also host the official Motorhead podcast, The Motorcast. So how is that for a load of ego right up front, eh? Me. That's what you're going to be getting across the course of the next 90 or so minutes, or however long this ends up being. That's either what you come for, or this is a first visit and you think, Jesus Christ, who's this dickhead? Well, this dickhead is Howard. Pleased to meet you. How are you? I hope you're well. So, what has been happening in the world of metal over the last few weeks, since last we spoke? Well, first up, I suppose there's only one place to start, really, and that is with Iced Earth's John Schaefer, who is now in US Marshal Service custody, having appeared on all of our screens, rampaging around the Senate building in the States, as part of Trump's insurrection, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, he was there wandering the halls. I mean, I'm not saying that Schaefer is not an intelligent man, but I think anybody who takes bear spray into the building is probably in a little bit more of an urban environment than is necessary to carry bear spray. I mean, I know he carried it to spray at people, but come on. It's just amusing to somebody who's British that somebody be walking around a building with bear spray. You know, literally, like he's like, you never know. You can't be too careful. One of them may have disguised themselves in uniform. Fucking Yogi Bear may be one of the guards. Hey, boo-boo. Sorry, I know it's a bit early for going off the rails, but I'm a fucking huge Yogi Bear fan, and I just the thought of Yogi Bear in riot gear has just kind of like permeated my brain. That's awesome. Anyway, sorry. Yes, right. Okay, back to where we were. So what else is going to keep us on that kind of well, it's a strong start, isn't it? We've got some energy there. Oh right, well next up it is Phil Demmel. I don't have any desire or need to talk to Rob Flynn ever again. Is it me, or can I envisage a lot of people saying that very same thing? I don't know. He seems to be an acquired taste, definitely to be in a band with. Can't say I'm particularly enjoying the new Machine Head output. Catharsis, a big fat meh, and which was a shame after Bloodstone and Diamonds. But and nothing really since. But basically that's it. That's the only line of interest that comes out of that interview. Other than that, he basically says, I haven't talked to him pretty much since the end of my time in the group. I don't have any desire or need to talk to him ever again. And that's it. That's just the one line taken out of the podcast interview. That wasn't this podcast, so fuck 'em. Not going to mention it. Next up now... Look, I am of a certain vintage. Yeah, I am 50 years old. Fucking what? How the hell did that happen? Yeah, I know. I reckon mentally still 35 at best. If you're listening to this, you're my age, or you're getting to my age, or you're a little older, whatever. It is totally normal to wonder when you're supposed to grow up, okay? It's totally normal to think, why don't I feel any different? That is normal. However, if you feel truly put upon and old and all the rest of it, then my apologies, but you're still alive. It's all good, okay? But given the age I am, slight tangent there, but anyway, given the age I am, my eye was caught by former Wasp guitarist Chris Holmes. spoke to the Eddie Trunk podcast, which is great because they've done a report on this, and it's great because it means I don't have to listen to the Eddie Trunk podcast. Fucking hell. Like listening to your granddad rummaging around in his fucking loft. Not a natural broadcaster by any stretch of the imagination. Legendary heavy metal figure. Absolutely legendary. Baked into the scene. Been around for years. Knows everybody. A broadcaster, he is not. But there you go. I mean, check out who is saying that. Me. This fucking dickhead. Yeah? I mean, if anybody should be accused of not being a decent broadcaster, it's fucking me, right? And as usual, I've started out having a go at somebody else and decided, no, it's actually me who is worthy of the true spite. Anyway, let's get back. So, people in my era, you remember Chris Holmes, Wasp. He was great. And he says, you take the first album of Wasp, and it was a group of guys, a band. And after that, the second album, it wasn't a group. It was a one-man show, and it's been a one-man show after that ever since. It's the way it is. Look at the records. It's the way it is in that band. And he goes on to say, during the making of the second album, I was told the manager wants to use Blackie's image, which the manager didn't tell me that. Blackie told me that on the cover of the album. And according to him, he said everybody. Guitarist Randy Piper, drummer Tony Richards, Blackie were all part of Wasp initially, the initial management contract, but Blackie was the only one signed to the record label. Everybody thinks we signed to the label, but we didn't. And just take another excerpt from here, and this is very, very interesting. I just want to get to it. Where are we? Yeah. He says, if I hadn't joined in the beginning, I would have never worked. Blackie told me that it would have never worked. Blackie told me that on the first day when he came and talked to me to play in Wasp. He says, I got this band, it's not going to work unless you're in it. He told me that to my face. A lot of people think I made money from Wasp. I've never gotten my royalties or even my songwriting. All the stuff that I wrote, I never got paid 1 penny. And do you know whose fault it is? It's my fault for not knowing the business and how it is. I trusted somebody. How refreshing is that for somebody to say in any walk of life? And again, apologies, but I've already told you I'm an old man, right? And I'm going to sound really old manny now. But how refreshing is it to hear somebody actually totally fucking own the mistakes they made and not try and, pass it off on somebody else, not try and rope other people in and say, oh, it was that person, oh, it was them, it was them. And I mean, there is more comments in the article that I could have added that build the picture of him getting to that conclusion. But I just wanted to get to it because I felt it, had more power that way. And yeah, it's fucking well done, Chris Holmes. All right, anybody who's seen that, that old that movie from the 80s. Oh, and I know all of you people who know the movie that I'm talking about are shouting at the fucking podcast right now. You're shouting down the street, walking down the street, shouting the name of it, or you're like, driving a bus or whatever it is you're doing, but you're shouting the name. Oh God, what was it? Something to do with civilization. Oh, look, that's popped into my head. This is literally not a podcast anymore. It's listening to an old man's brain slowly kick into gear. It's like, oh, it's getting in there. Oh my God. And by the miracle of the pause button, I can now say it was The Decline of Western Civilization Part 2, The Metal Years. If you've never seen that movie, look it up online, find it somewhere and watch it. I don't know where it is. I don't know if it's even available. If I can find it, I will put a link into the podcast description. So check the description on whatever you're listening to this on, and there may be a link to that. So that's Chris Holmes done. Now let's keep it old. Hey, let's keep it old. Who's got a new album coming out? Hey, in March, called The Devil in Me. I bet you can't guess. Okay, it's Suzi Quatro. Fucking what? Suzi Quatro? Yeah. still wearing the leather jacket, and at 70 would still get it, frankly, and I don't care. I was going to say, I know it's a sexist statement. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm showing some love for older women, but boy, Susie, honestly, she was a part of my childhood I'll never forget. Okay, she was the very first woman I ever saw in black leather, and yeah, I think I need to move on now. Is it me, right? And again, this is just how this is rolling. Okay, this is going backwards, but this all seems to be old people. Is it me, or is it just a bit weird that Richie Blackmore just packed up playing like heavy music and then just started doing all this, prancing around the garden like fairy and elf crap? It's unbelievable. I mean, he's just about to put an 11th studio album out, and that's the first for 6 years, right? I mean, Blackmore's Night has been going since '97. It's weird. It does my head in. Anyway, also keeping that theme going, there's going to be a new Dee Snider solo album coming, which I'm a big fan of because I'm a big fan of the big man, and he's one of the best frontmen I have ever seen live. Definitely, without a doubt, and just an iconic voice. So yeah, he is about to lay down the vocals on the follow up to the album that I really enjoyed that he put out last year. Last year, fucking hell, 2019. I think, yeah, was it 2019? Yeah, would have been 2019. Which was absolutely superb. And we're going to get a follow-up now. So he's going to go and work on that soon. Great. I tell you who else has got some new stuff out. Yeah. Ex-Korn drummer David Silveria and his new band Breaking in Sequence, Bias, drops Acronym EP. And fuck me, Drop It is certainly what I'd recommend doing. I mean, basically, it's good old-fashioned late 90s, early 2000s new metal. It has come absolutely nowhere. It is like the last 20 years never happened. And not only that, as a cover version of Midlife Crisis by Faith No More on there, well, you may as well listen to Faith No More's version. It is completely aping the original. The vocalist just wants to be Mike Patton. It's utterly pointless. As was that story. I mean, basically what I'm saying to you is something you were never going to listen to. There's really no need to listen to it. Never listen to it. It's crap. Here's something that's very cool. Igor Cavaliera, yes, he of this parish, he of 2 appearances on Talking Bollocks, is offering exclusive content on his Patreon channel. If you're into drums and stuff like that, I'm on Patreon, so you can come and find me. That's patreon.com/Howard H. Smith. For $5 a month, you will get a shitload of extra content. You get to ask guests questions. You get your own Zoom podcast once a month with yours truly and all the other patrons. You get Acid Rain exclusives. You get all sorts of stuff. So feel free to sign up to myself and to Igor Cavaliera on Patreon. What you need to do is go to patreon.com and you can look for him there. In fact, his account is patreon.com/ all lowercase Igor Cavaliera. And remember, Igor has got a double G in it. So there you go. He's got all sorts of stuff going on there, so go check out Igor. It's weird, isn't it? It sounds kind of like an Irish. It's like a Yorkshire name, isn't it? Igor. All right, Igor. Our Igor. What are you up to, son? Hey, get in here. Run yourself a bath. Where's bloody Igor? Hey, where did he go? Hey, where did he go? Igor, he go. Igor, he go. You see what I'm doing? Yeah. Okay. A little bit of wordplay. Let me have my fun, please. I don't know, just imagine if Sepultura had come from Yorkshire, if fucking Igor and Max were born in Thirsk in North Yorkshire. Right, let's play some tribal stuff, shall we? What do you mean, tribal? Well, fucking drums, dugga, and all that, We can go and let's go and meet some of these people who live and work on Yorkshire moors and see if they'll let us play with them. Apparently they've got some, go on, get up there, get this sent over there, eh? Apparently there's tribes who live around the area and they build stone walls, dry stone walling. That's their thing. It's mental. You can't get near them. They chuck stones at you. So yeah, let's go and embed with them and we'll write an album. Write a bloody album and let's put it out. Come on, let's do some thrashing. It's not working, is it? Really? You're not going to get Sepultura coming from Thirsk in Yorkshire. Basically, it's not going to happen. Chaos AD, Chaos AD tanks on the streets. Not really. In Thirsk, it'd be more like, 2018 stalls on the streets. Got a little farmer's market. It's all right. Anyway, fucking hell. I am full of shit today. Finally, I would, and I will put a link to this because it looks awesome. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. But there's an hour-long video tribute to late Cynic drummer Sean Reinhardt. Features Gene Hoglan, good old Gene. Hey there, man. Thomas Hake and Dirk Van Buren. Or Dirk Van Bureau. I don't know why I did that. Basically, it's on YouTube at the moment. I will put a link to this in the description. Sean was an absolute fucking ledge, and here's a bunch of legends talking about another legend, so that's when you know you're dealing with a legend. So, folks, that is where I am up to right now. Now it is time to introduce the interview. This was an absolutely just one of the most fun things I've done this year. Okay, it's only January the 27th, and let's face it, there's not a great deal of fun to be had in the world at the moment. But you know what? Talking to my old mate CJ for the first time in God knows how many years, well, that certainly did it. Here's us having a right old rabbit a couple of weeks ago.
Hello.
Hello there, sir.
Is that H?
It is indeed.
Hey man, it's been a long time.
Bloody hell! It's got to be what, 30 years?
Probably. I'm trying to think. The last time I saw you was it in that pub, Garlic and Shots, a bar in London? Maybe I can't remember. We did a TV show or something together, didn't we?
Oh God, we did all sorts, because I think you were back. It was back in your Tattooed Loveboy days.
I'm sure. Didn't I bump into you with Danny? Didn't we do something with the Wildhearts like really early on? I'm sure we did.
Ooh.
Did something. I remember coming to see you at the Hippodrome. You played the Hippodrome.
Fucking hell, yeah. That was 1989.
Right. I think maybe. I don't know, man. It's such a long time ago, isn't it?
I know. But the funny thing is, I still remember. By the way, sorry, a little bit of a tangent. Do you remember we went to the zoo? We spent the day. We spent like hours in London Zoo.
Whoa! Oh, that was
Metal Hammer or something.
Yeah, that was with Honeycrack, man. That was in I'm sure that was Honeycrack.
No, it was Tattooed Loveboys, because we were done. We were done by 91.
Oh, okay. But are you sure? I remember going to the zoo. Actually, I probably went to the zoo twice. I remember doing I did. I went to when I was in Honeycrack. I went to the zoo in the mid-90s, and then I remember, Metal Hammer, Zoo, yeah. I vaguely remember the dogs. Steve and the Dogs and More was there as well.
Yeah. There was a bunch of us. It was a typical sort of 80s metal journalist brilliant idea. Let's get a load of bands and take them to London Zoo.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it. But I did go to the zoo again with another band.
Well, I remember the first time I met you, and I was wearing a Descendants Milo Goes to College T-shirt.
Oh, right.
And you,
that would have pointed.
Yeah, and you just pointed at it straight away and went, "You're in a thrash metal band. How come you're wearing that?"
Well, I mean, the Descendants are have always been one of my favourite bands. So, I mean, back then, like way before I flirted with the glam sort of rock and roll thing for a few years. I was always into like kind of punk and metal, and then went down that kind of glam thing for a couple of years and then left it. Well and truly where it should have stayed in the 80s.
Well, funnily enough, back in those days, I was thrilled that you even knew who the Descendants were.
Yeah, well, I got into the Descendants when I was like probably around about 16, but it was through American friends of mine, 16, 17, and they played me what was that? Enjoy, or I can't remember. It was Miley Goes to College. I don't know, one of those albums, but I think it was Wendy was the first song I heard by them.
Man,
I was hooked.
Yeah,
hooked straight away, and then that's how I got into the Descendants. But also got into like really early Metallica as well through the same bunch of American friends. And it happens that the bunch of American friends, one of them was Chris Sherry, who does all the Descendants artwork.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah. So I knew him when he was like 15, 16. We were friends. So, and you know, he does everyone's artwork now, Chris Sherry. I mean, he does all that Milo stuff he does. And I mean, just about every punk band out there in America he does artwork for. So, it's a small world. And I've actually become friends with Stefan, the guitar player. And I know Carl as well, but Stefan and Carl are both big Wildheart fans.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So, it's really, it's always good. I mean, I keep in contact with Stefan, and whenever, you know, the Descendants are in town or in Britain, I'll try and hook up with Stefan. But I've bumped into Stefan in like Japan as well, and Tokyo, and we've gone out for drinks as well. He's such a lovely guy, and it's amazing that he's a Wildhearts fan. It's such an honour.
I know what you mean, because I'm sat here jealous as fuck. You know, it's like, oh fucking hell, that's amazing. I can't. I mean, how did that happen? Did you just like bump into him, or would you end up? Were you playing with him?
No, it's through the American friends who introduced me to the Descendants back in the 80s when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I said, Chris Sherry went on to be, you know, their artist.
Yeah.
And another friend of mine, Fitz, his best mate happens to be Chris Sherry, the artist. They would go and see the Descendants. Actually, they started going to see All a lot, and that's how they all became friends. And through my friends becoming friends with the Descendants and All, they introduced them to like the Wildhearts, and it was just by kind of osmosis. But happened to know the same people they know, and they just I first met the Descendants when I had a little pop punk band called the Jellies, and they asked us to support them at the Highbury Garage, and that's when I first met like Stefan and Carl. Wow. And I had no idea they knew who we were, you know, and they just got chatting to them, and they're just saying how much they love the Wildhearts and everything, and I've just stayed in contact with them, and I've seen the Descendants quite a few times, but I mean, it's always nice bumping into Stefan, and I bumped into him in Tokyo. The Wildhearts were touring in Japan, and he was actually on tour with a band called, remember Good Charlotte?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, he was teching for them.
Oh, right.
And this was like in sort of the early noughties, like, so I thought it was like 2001, maybe 2002, and he was in the same hotel as us, and I come down, I'm fucking hell, man, how you doing? And we ended up going out. I ended up going out for dinner with him and his cousin from Australia, but we've always stayed in contact, and you know, I had a message from him on my birthday, funny enough, which was a few weeks ago. And so I mean, he's always both him and Carl, they've always been into the Wildhearts and kind of followed what I've been doing, and I've been following what they've been doing since the 80s. So,
well, that's awesome. And on the subject of weird hookups and things like that, when I met you, I would have been living in Harrogate, and you would have been living in London, and now I live in London, and you live in Harrogate. How the fuck did that?
Are you from Yorkshire then? Or?
Yeah.
I thought you guys were from Nottingham for some reason.
No. Sabbath were from Nottingham. We were from. We were a Harrogate band because most of the members were from Harrogate. I'm from Knaresborough, which is. I had
no idea you were from Harrogate.
Yeah.
That explains the mosh pit then. When I first, you were like one of the very first. I mean, I was always into like early Metallica and Slayer and Nuclear Assault, and but one of the very first bands I saw having that kind of that circle thing. Yeah. It was always at your shows, wasn't it? You always had that.
Absolutely,
Yeah, I always it always stuck in my head, but I had no idea you guys are from Harrogate.
Yeah,
so,
that is that.
Right.
So when I saw you with that, I was like, "What the hell? How? I've got to ask, how did you end up in Harrogate?"
Well, I got married, and we were living in London at the time, and my ex-wife is Scottish, but her family are from Harrogate, and we ended up moving to Knaresborough, where her mother lived, and we actually had the house next door to her mother, and that's how I ended up in this neck of the woods. We moved about 9 years ago, and we're divorced now, but we're really good friends, and we have a 6-year-old boy together, and we co-parent. And I had a flat here I was renting out, and when we eventually separated, I moved into the flat here in Harrogate, and she lives in the house in Knaresborough. So, and we're kind of tied to this area now until our son, goes off to university, if they're still around.
Yeah.
Of age. So, and I love it here. I mean, I must admit, I prefer Knaresborough to Harrogate. And when my girlfriend moves up, eventually, I'll move back to Knaresborough. I mean, having been raised there as a kid, I mean, it's such a great part of the world to grow up in. I'd rather bring my boy up here than London, put it that way. I love London. I really miss the food, but this part of the world it's so lovely up here, and the people are so nice. It's just it hasn't got that edge. You get in London. There's an edge in all major cities, and I must admit, being an older gentleman, I don't miss it.
I'm stuck here for the duration at the moment, but every time I go home, I mean, I only came back from Knaresborough on Monday, but every time I go home to Yorkshire, I'm just reminded of it's calling my name when I go home now. It never used to, but it's kind of it's calling my name.
I mean, because I grew up all over the world, and I don't have a hometown. I was born in Colchester Military Hospital. I lived in Colchester for about 10 months, and then moved to Folkestone, and then moved to Malaya, then Singapore, moved back to Britain, and back to Germany for like 7 years, and then moved back to the UK when I was 15. So I don't really have a home, but I mean, I've lived in London probably longer than I've lived anywhere else in the world, and then Germany, then here, and then Tokyo. I lived in Tokyo as well for quite a few years because I was married to a Japanese girl. So I don't really, have a home, but I mean, it feels like home here in this part of the UK. It feels like home to me, and because my son was born in Harrogate, and it just kind of, I have a massive tie to this area, and I feel like an honorary Yorkshireman. Although many Yorkshiremen tell me Harrogate's not Yorkshire, I don't understand that. So.
Let me enlighten you. It's basically it's too posh, Harrogate, apparently, to be.
So to be a Yorkshireman, you've got to be poor, yeah.
Well, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like it makes no sense. Instead, it's typical Yorkshire though. Instead of being proud of it having one of the only two, having a spa town up north and bringing all that wealth that has stayed and created the area. Instead, it's be ashamed of it, because it's too posh, which is just ridiculous.
It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. I mean, I know London really well, and I know the fabulous wealthy part of London where people have like £100 million houses and like £40 million penthouses, and I know that part really well. I know the poor part. And when I see rich people up here, I look at them and go, "You're even close to being rich." I had a friend of mine, another CJ, and she lived in. It wasn't a friend, but it was an acquaintance, and she lived in one of the squares. I can't remember which one, but her next door neighbour was Margaret Thatcher. And I remember sitting down with her one day, and she was going, "I'm in real trouble. I can't get rid of the south of France, like Villa." She goes, I'm gonna have to knock off like probably maybe 4 or 5. And I went, what, 1,000? She went, no, like about 400 or maybe 500,000. I went, how much is it on the market for? She went, like 8.2. And I like 8.2 million. And she used to say, I mean, she was really down to earth, but she used to say to me, like, you know, you get these people in London who live in 4, 5, 6 million pounds, and her place was worth probably about maybe 85, maybe 90 million. And it's one of many houses she had, but she used to go, they think they're really rich, but, you know, until you have like a gardener and a chauffeur and a housekeeper and a helipad, you're not even close to rich. She was so down to earth, but she also knew there's a certain snobbery in London, and it might be where the people aren't quite as fabulously wealthy as they think they are, but they think they're little kings and queens. And most of the really, really rich people I've met have always been really, really down to earth and really nice. They haven't been, but then you get that middle ground, that kind of middle class bit where, yeah, they're like little queens and little kings, and they can be quite snobbish. But
yeah,
I know there's a certain element in Harrogate. You know, there's a type of man who wears no socks and wears tan brogues, and his trousers too short. And I mean, and they drive a Lamborghini Ferrari, and they do look like dicks. And I can understand why, you know, some farmer down in the fields might look at them and go, "Oh, look at him, he's not proper Yorkshire." But they all sound the same to me.
Yeah, very much so, very much so.
Yeah, they've all got that kind of accent. I mean, you can tell the people who aren't from Yorkshire here because, you know, they sound southern and very posh, but that Yorkshire accent doesn't really change. I mean, I can drive 10 miles down the road and I don't understand a single thing they're saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And
they're driving Range Rovers and Lambos, you know. So.
But, well, look, I can imagine people listening to this are going, well, you two are having a great catch up. Let's hear about the music. So first up, congratulations on the Wildhearts album, because that is just, yeah, it's talk about a return to form.
Is that the live one?
No.
Which one? Because we've had Renaissance Man come out, and then we had a mini album come out, and then we've had a live album come out.
Yeah. No, sorry, Renaissance Man.
All right, that's old now.
Well, 20. Don't say that, because that's when our album came out, and we still haven't fucking toured it yet because of the bloody lockdown.
And I had a solo album come out in about a month ago.
Called Siege. I'm aware.
Yes, yeah. So, but the Renaissance one, yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, that was our first Wild Hearts album in 10 years, and it's with a lineup which hasn't been together for 15 years. So, you know, Danny came back in the band, and yeah, kind of it took us by surprise, because when you haven't done an album, you know, in over a decade, you don't know how people are going to receive it. But yeah, the album did all right for us. Yeah, it kind of reaffirmed us as a fighting force on the British glam rock scene.
Yeah, but also it kind of reestablishes you of you know what, we're not just going around playing the hits. Do you know what I mean? You're still relevant. That's the word I was kind of searching for.
But, I mean, the problem with a band that's been around as long as us. I mean, me and Ginger started the band in '89, so you know we've been together 31 years. It's easy. We have a really strong following in the UK. We have an okay following. We have a great following in Japan, and we can kind of connect the dots vaguely around the world. But you know, we were known as a '90s band, and that's when we had all our big hits. And but to come back and for people to still look at us and think we're relevant is a massive tick for us, you know, because we've never been a band to rest like kind of on the past. We're always trying to push things, always trying to keep it fresh. And I mean, I think the key to the Wildhearts is you can't pinpoint us. We're not a punk band, we're not a metal band, we're not a rock band, we're not a rock and roll band. We just mix it all up, and so it's really hard for the listener to get dull, if you see what I mean. You know, it isn't 100 songs that sound like the Ramones, or 100 songs that sound like Motorhead or DC or, you know, Metallica. We mix everything up, and I think that keeps us fresh.
You certainly do, because I think you managed to combine most of those elements into the Wildhearts sound. And what was it like coming back together? That lineup coming back together, like, you know, walking in the rehearsal space for the first time. And
it's I'll be lying if I say this lineup is the smoothest lineup. I mean, there's there's we make a sound which no other lineup of the band makes, and I think that's the key to this. The four of us, myself, Ginger, Richie, and Danny. There's a certain chemistry to this sound which we can't replicate with anyone else in the band. So I think that's the key to this. But it has its moments, and but we're well aware that this is kind of the lineup everyone wants to see and kind of hear. So, but it's kind of a no-brainer for us because we've been doing it for so long. We kind of know the strengths of each individual member in the band, and we know what we can do and what we cannot do, if you see what I mean. And luckily enough, the strengths of this lineup is what people really want to hear, and then there's a certain attitude to our sound which we don't get with anyone else in the band. So it's for the moment, this is the lineup which is here to stay. So I think that'll make people quite happy.
And did you instantly all just click back together? And because I know the feeling, and it's like, well, just speaking to you, it feels like last time I saw you was sort of last week, and when you walk in the room and you all just, it's kind of, do you have that sort of, God, it doesn't half feel like, it just feels like a day since we were doing this last time?
I mean, it was weird. I mean, because when Danny came back, I mean, I hadn't seen him in 15 years. So I don't think he'd seen Ginger. I know him and Ginger didn't talk for about 10 years. So and so I hadn't seen. Probably it was 13 years. I think I can't remember. I mean, he was out of the band 2005 and he rejoined. I think 2013. I hadn't spoken to him, but I mean, he'd be the first to admit, I think he was really nervous about coming into the room with the three of us. And we've all been playing constantly, and I mean, Danny's, his problems have been well documented. And I think he was quite nervous about coming back into the band. But I mean, the minute he fired up, he has a really good bass tone, Danny, and it's like a really unique kind of sound. And the minute he fired up and the minute we started playing, it's kind of, we were kind of back there again. And it's I don't know. I mean, I'm equally as happy with John Poole in the band or Scott Sorry in the band. You adapt for the people around you. I mean, I was out of the band for an album, and but I mean, me and Ginger have been the constants in the group, and then Richie is been along. I think the longest out of all the drummers we've had. But I don't know, this lineup, tends to be the one that turns people on. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and with your solo stuff, are you going to be looking to to do anything around Siege? Are you going to be looking, well, when we can? It's so hard to talk about the future at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's impossible. I mean, today the Wildhearts just announced that we're going to be doing a live in the studio kind of performance, which is going to be streamed around the world, and that's the closest you're going to get to a gig from us for the foreseeable future. Because I think the festivals are looking well dodged, aren't they, at the moment? It's not looking
great, is it?
Yeah, we had Download last year, obviously it didn't happen, and Wacken and all those. And can you imagine 60,000 people in a field?
Yeah.
Right now in June.
June, July, August.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be 2022 by the time we get round to it.
I put my money on 2022 for things to kind of like start settling again. I think this year is going to kind of be like last year, and you've got to go by the form. And I've looked at how the government behaved last year, and I don't put, I'm not confident, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You and everyone else, mate.
I wrote a whole album about last year. I mean, Siege, my mini album, is about the fuck up that was last year.
Yeah.
And the frustration and the anger a lot of people felt, and myself, and I got a really nice thrash metal hardcore punk album out of last year. I'd rather not get another thrash metal hardcore punk album out of this year, but I think it's coming.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Just call it fuck 2021.
Yeah, I mean it's so. Yeah, we're going to do so the Wildhearts are going to do this live in the studio stream thing, and we are like one of the last bands to kind of sign up to doing like a kind of online show. You know, I mean, we were never going to go down that fucking iPhone in the kitchen acoustic. Fucking rubbish. A lot of
totally agree.
And their dog are doing it. It's just appalling. It's just, you know, you've got these punk artists and metalheads and, you know, rockers on with their acoustics, and it's just shut up. God, It's just, I want to set them on fire.
Well, I tell you what, I tell you the other thing is bugging me as well. I've had enough of this guy from this band and this guy from this band and this guy from this band and this guy from this band have got together and they're playing a cover version of like Kiss or whatever, and it's just like, yeah, I've had enough.
You know what? I did one. It was a favour for a friend of mine who's been compiling videos. I did during the first lockdown. I think there was two or three, me just playing along to Wildheart tracks on the guitar, and he compiled the videos for me. And he did what's that fucking Pogue song, man? The Christmas song,
Fairy Tale in New York.
Yeah, he did that, and he asked me if I'd sing a line, and I said yeah, and then he asked me if I'd be in a video, and I said yeah, but I was done up as the clown, and I'm mimed my part. Like, because I'm a clown but there's a whole clown thing around my Siege sort of thing, and
right.
Like in the video, the bass player wears a clown mask, so I wore that mask, and he actually says, I don't need you to sing the line, you can mime it, and I mimed it, like, and yeah, it was really nice, but I don't really sign up to the feed the world kind of that type of video and that type of thing. It's not my thing. I'd rather bands just stuck to what they do really well and kind of represent that. So hence the Wildhearts finally. We know we're not going to play, so this is the closest we're going to get to playing. It's going to be wonderful being in the studio with the guys and just playing those songs and then, you know, beaming it around the world so people can, you know, hear and see us. But I think that's the closest we're going to get to a gig for a bit.
And presumably, well, I mean, you know, logistically, I know the stuff that behind the scenes you have to try and put together to put one of these things on is way, way more complicated than anyone would believe. Are you looking at a time period for that yet? Because obviously in lockdown at the moment, you know.
Yeah, we're filming March. It'll be sort of mid-March, but we're going through a production house, and they have a COVID secure barn which is rigged out now with, you know, to film and to record bands, and
right.
They've been doing this for a while now, so it's kind of like the new norm, isn't it? You know, you go to these production houses and they're kind of set up and ready to go. The main thing is that we stick to the restrictions, and we you know, I said to my manager, there's no way I'm sharing a hotel room with anyone in the band. I need my own hotel room when I come down. And he goes, yeah, of course, no problem. I said, I'm driving myself there and I'm driving myself back in my own car. I'm not giving anyone a lift. You know,
Well, I tell you what. Once we get offline, I'll have to get the details, because that sounds like an ideal location. Whereabouts is it?
It's in Epping Forest. It's a company called Stable. And,
I might have known.
They've converted a barn. It's big. I mean, it's a kind of like one of those Jewel Holland-esque type places. You know, set up for, you know, a lot of bigger bands and musicians to play, but it's done out. And we didn't want to do, you know, a lot of bands have been doing the pretend concerts, playing to no one. We can't do that. I can't.
No,
I can't.
Yeah, totally agree.
You know, it's like I can do it for a video and jump around and act like a cock, but for one song, it's all right. But for a whole concert, to kind of pretend that you're playing to, you know, an audience, or even the spaced out gigs, they look naff. It's stupid. I don't get it. It's like it's all or nothing. So we're doing live in the studio, and we're playing in the studio, and it's not a concert. We're not going to try and pretend we're doing a full-on rock gig, because unless you've got the audience there and they're all on top of each other and sweating and drunk and dancing and screaming, it's not a gig, is it? You know?
I totally agree. It's more of like letting people into your world and almost letting them watch what a Wildhearts rehearsal is like.
Yeah. I mean, considering by the time we do this, we wouldn't have done a gig in over a year. Fuck knows what it's going to be like.
So you're gonna have to have a rehearsal before you do the broadcast rehearsal.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple books. We're going to need a few, and we're also letting the fans choose the set as well. So it'll be interesting.
That's a really nice way of getting some engagement though as well.
Yeah, they always choose the obvious songs. Thank God.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, well, yeah, because I remember the time Metallica put they did a tour where they were getting people to vote for a particular song in the set list, and when they played, I think it was Finland, some like forum hijacked it, and they made sure that the winning song was Frayed Ends of Sanity off And Justice for All, which they hadn't played for about 25-30 years, and it's great because you see them like rehearsing it, and like James Hetfield is just going, fuck, this is a shit idea, why did we ever agree to let people vote?
It's the worst thing in the world. I mean, whenever we do, it's lucky, I mean, occasionally we've done anniversary shows, and when we did like the Fishing for Lucky's anniversary, there's a song in there called Sky Babies, which is 11 minutes long. We're like, Jesus Christ, we're never going to do this ever again.
Yeah.
But it was brilliant. It was brilliant playing this song, and because no one had heard it in years. And sometimes when you do pull out the rarer songs, it's just to see the reaction. But most people want to hear the classic ones because they can sing along and have a good dance. And I mean, right now I'd rather go and see a band and hear them play all their classic songs and just have a dance and a good sing along rather than sit back and watch them prog rock out. I think that'll be people want to let their hair down. They want to have a good time, don't they? Really?
Yeah, and it's a weird one though, isn't it? Because it's like, yeah, you've got to play the hits. There's certain songs that you always have to play. But I think when bands have massive catalogues and stuff like that, I mean, I'll give an example. For instance, like if I go and see Anthrax and they play fucking Antisocial again, that Trust cover. Do you know? I mean, it's like, and every time we get the 5-minute break in the middle, come on, let's hear you, Anti. So no, just fuck off, stop playing this song.
Forgot. I mean, I remember. I mean, I was a Trust fan when I was a kid, and so I actually forgot. Anthrax did covered that. It's like a. But I love the original version. But
well, they've probably played it more times than Trust now, so I think they can retire it. Do you know what I mean? But there's certain songs where you just think, like, Metallica, do you need to play Enter Sandman again? It'd be awesome to just reach into the catalogue and pull something out that you haven't played for years. Do you know what I mean? But then what'll happen. Yeah. You know what'll happen? You just get a load of people complaining that they didn't play Enter Sandman.
I think, with when you haven't played together for over a year, I think I'm going to hedge my bets that the fans are going to pick.
Yeah.
I hope they do anyway.
You better hope so, mate. If this podcast gets catches fire and they hear this, everyone's going to be going, right, obscurer the better.
Well, I mean, we were actually putting up a menu, so
right.
We don't just put like 200 songs up there and get them choose, because that's just ridiculous. I mean, it's like sheep, and we're the sheepdog, and we've got to corral you into a certain area.
Giving
headfuck 100 times.
Yeah. Basically, you give people the illusion of choice.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, it's like they will get to choose from the menu as long as it's from the set menu and the value menu only. No lobster, no foie gras, definitely no champagne.
Yeah, here's your Tesco value Wildhearts set list.
It's a pot noodle and a digestive biscuit, and that's all you're getting, sunshine. If you don't like it, we've got your money. You can fuck off the doors at the back.
Yeah, just turn your computer off. That's it. Goodbye.
I mean, jokes aside, the fact that when we do hook up, we wouldn't have played together for over a year, and it is going to be an orgasmic sensation for us, just because we're musicians, and we need to get up on stage and put on our punk rock faces and make a noise, and we haven't done it for so long. It's going to be great. It's going to be really good, and it's going to be done on our terms and loud and electric, and you know
Yeah.
it's going to be heavy and just it's how we want it. I mean, right now we're talking next album time, and you know Ginger's written and demoed up 10 songs, so I've got them on my hard drive. I need to start learning them, and I'm working on 3 brand new Wildhearts songs as well right now. So you know, we should have a good bunch of songs for the next album, and we're hoping to start recording that next month. So, you know, everything's all hands on deck at the moment. I mean, the thing is, we want to drop, the Wildhearts want to drop a new album in September. We don't know if we're going to tour it yet, but we're still going to drop an album. We need to stay on the radar, you know, and the way you stay on the radar is by putting out new music. You know, there's only so far you can take, you know, the acoustic gig or the online gig. You know, you need to give people something to chew on, and it always has to be new music. And you know, it's what every band or artist should be doing right now. They've had plenty of time to write, haven't they? Last year,
Well, you're talking to somebody who it took 29 years to get our album out in 2019. So
29 years? How many songs are on it?
just the 10. And one's a cover version, and one's a like 3-minute intro. So
yeah, but you guys went like an up and working band for all that time, were you?
No, not at all. No, I mean, you know,
yeah,
I mean, I brought the band back in 2015. It's just me from the original lineup, but we were supposed to tour the album in 2020. So you know, first album for 29 years. 2019 was set to be. Sorry, 2020 was set to be our busiest year yet, and instead we didn't play a note and haven't even seen each other.
I mean, it's
mental.
It's just one of those years. I mean, but I got to. It's great that you finally got the album out, but it's a shame you didn't get to tour it.
We got to play 4 gigs, and one of those was in Scarborough in December in a teepee.
Oh, God.
So yeah, it's exactly as it sounds.
We last year was disastrous for us. Well, just for everyone and every band. I mean, we had so many festivals we were doing, and after Renaissance Man and the mini album, there was so much goodwill for the band, and so much interest in us. We're seen as this really odd old band from the 90s, you know, and just completely different to anything else going on in Britain. And but there was a lot of goodwill for us and a lot of people rooting for us. And you know, this virus has just ruined everything. But we're still, you know, I managed to get an album out last year. You know, Ginger's managed to get, you know, on his label, get the live album out. And you know, we're still working. We're still trying to do stuff. And I think, you know, whatever is happening in the world, if everyone, all the artists out there, all the bands out there, if they're still trying to put out new music and they're still trying to, you know, keep active and keep engaging with their fans, then you know, it's not the end of the world.
No, and look, you know, things are going to come back. We don't know what they're going to look like or exactly when, or you know, what the new normal will look like, but it is going to happen. And let's face it, we got vaccines as well. I mean, you know, sometimes I think we forget about that. Yes, it's a really bad time at the moment and all the rest of it, but when we were in lockdown 1, we were all going, oh God, you know, what I wouldn't, you know, let's hope they get a vaccine soon. Oh God, vaccine. Well, we've got 3 now, so you know, there is an end in sight, hopefully.
I mean, I've spoken to Ginge and Richie about this, and they're all going to take the vaccine as well when we're off with it. I mean, I don't have a problem with having trackers in my blood and having Bill Gates control me.
Yeah. Well, what makes me laugh is when people post about that shit from their phone with the location switched on. And anti-vaxxers who will happily travel around the world and get a malaria jab, but apparently new vaccines are all bad. It's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I've got a 2-inch penis, but I've got a 12-inch tail. You know. So yeah, vaccines don't scare me, man.
And rightfully so. They shouldn't do. But I mean, you've done a hell of a lot in you know, over the last few years. I mean, you know, you've put bands together. You've been, like you said, you were out of the Wildhearts for 1 album. But you didn't let the grass grow, and you know, you're off doing other things, forming other bands, and you're still doing your solo stuff as well. It's, I mean, your output's incredible. It really is.
I have my own hot sauce as well.
I know, Devil's Spit, is it?
Devil's Spit, yeah.
Did you get that out before everybody else started doing hot sauce?
No, I mean it's been available. It came out about 8 years ago. I think about 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. But no, I mean my mum has always made her own hot sauce. I mean she doesn't make it. And both my mum and dad have dementia, and they're both in homes now. But I grew up with homemade hot sauce, and my mum's from the Seychelles. My dad's Indian. He's from British Guyana, the West Indies in South America, and so I come from an Indian, kind of African style family. So spice and hot sauce it's part of my upbringing. But I was offered a chance to bring out my own hot sauce when I brought out a solo album a good few years ago called Mabel, and a company. I came up with a recipe and worked with this company down in Hull and made up my own hot sauce, which is Devil's Spit, and I've had about 8 or 9 different types of varieties of sauce, and I have my own ketchup as well. But I didn't sell it for 2 years because I was too busy with the Wildhearts. But because of last year and lockdown, it enabled me to bring back the sauce, and yeah, it's done really well. It's paid the bills basically, and you had to. One of the things is when you're not touring, you've got to think of other ways to. It's either you think of other ways to bring an income in, or you go and get a regular job. And I wasn't quite ready to work in McDonald's, not just yet. So and I'm not old enough for home base.
Well, so, the McDonald's in Harrogate, that is the venue of my first ever job. I left school and my first job was full time working in that McDonald's when it opened.
It's actually called Le McDonald's in Harrogate. It's a bistro. Yeah.
I still remember one of our managers dealing with a woman out front who was coming into a McDonald's for the first time, and he showed her all the different burgers and all the rest of it, and she picked one, and he really fussed over her, and he put it all on the tray and pushed it across to her, and she went, where are the knife and fork? And he said, we don't have knives and forks, you eat it with your hands. And she went, oh no dear, I'm not having that, and turned around and walked out.
Oh, God, I tell you, next time you're local, H, we've got to hook up, man. When all this shitstorm is.
Oh, absolutely, mate. Absolutely, honestly.
I tell you right now, I'm not joking. There's about 6-7 inches of snow outside. It's been snowing non-stop from about 8 o'clock this morning, and it's still snowing now, and it's I've never seen this much snow in Harrogate since I've lived here, in 8 years.
Yeah, no, I did hear it was pretty bad. I got some early morning pictures from my mum, who was lording it over me that that it was like the Arctic up there.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's the most snow I've seen. I think when the year we moved here was 2012. And that winter was quite bad, but I've never seen so much. I grew up in Germany, so we had snow for a good 6-7 weeks every year, and this reminds me of kind of German type snow. It's like proper snow. Right?
Yeah, I think the last really bad snow up there, I think, was about 2010.
Right.
Which is basically what you're having now. It's proper sledging weather, isn't it?
It is. I mean, my little boy's with his mum right now, so I'm sure he's going to be making snowmen and stuff. Actually, you're not allowed to call them men anymore. You've got to call them snow person. Snow person.
Is that offensive? I don't know. Is that offensive to snow?
We joke, and I'm probably at my little boy's 6, and they're probably going to be calling them snow persons, aren't they? You're probably coming. Dad, I made a snow person today.
Yeah,
snowman. No, you're not allowed to call them.
Yeah, look, I made a gang of snowmen. No, that is a group of snow people.
They, I think.
Oh, yeah. Be careful with your pronouns, mate. I am definitely he. Of that much I am sure.
Last time I checked, I was a he, but I am going to take the vaccine. So ask me again in 6 months' time.
Oh yeah. There's all of that going on as well, isn't there? People who reckon that it's yeah. Oh. Yeah.
You know what really makes me laugh about the vaccine? I know people who aren't going to take it, and I know what they've put in their arms, up their asses, in their nose.
Exactly.
These people were the scuzziest, filthiest gagheads you'd ever want to meet, and they're scared of a little prick. It's unbelievable. And I'm like, fuck me. The vaccine probably wouldn't work. You've got so much poison still in your veins. It's like, oh.
Yeah. You'll buy a wrap of Coke off a bloke you've never met before in a pub. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you know, approved researched vaccines. Fuck that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But no, when it's offered, I will take it gladly. You know, anything to get out of what we're living in right now. You know, we need. I mean, you think last year couldn't get worse, and then you know we're week 2 in the new year, and look what's just happened in America. I mean, it's like, my God,
I know
the world has just gone nuts.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
I know.
You know?
It's absolutely insane. It's been a really weird time in general. I mean, you know, all sorts of things have just seemed to have you know, come to a head at once. And have you got any friends? Well, you mentioned earlier your friends in the States. I mean, have you been in touch with them about what's going on?
My family live in the States. My dad's family. I have like 200 relatives in New York.
Wow.
So when my dad grew up, it was called British Guyana, and it's now Guyana now, but it was a British colony. So my dad could join the British Army, and so could my mum in the Seychelles. She could join the British Army, and that's how they met in London in the 60s. But my dad's family all emigrated they were from India originally, went to South America, and they emigrated all to North America, but most of them live in New York now. So, yeah, that's where my family is. But, yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And
you couldn't make it up.
Well, did you see that the main dude from Iced Earth is in the pictures of being, you know, in the building, in the Capitol building?
Yeah, well, the dude with the makeup on and the tattoos. And
well, no, that's not him. Apparently, that's some dude from.
I've seen some very striking looking people in the pictures. You know what? With the news, it's like I'll be really honest. This year, since it started, I've been trying to reset myself and get into the groove, and I've really been kind of not. I went on a digital detox, which I'm going to go back on again, and I was pulled out of it to repost some of the Wildhearts stuff because they're dropping all the news about the Wildhearts are dropping all the stuff about the live stream we're going to do and stuff. But I've kind of I've been on the fringes of watching the news, and I've not been taking it all in, but I just know what's going on. But it's like it's been getting to me this year. My girlfriend lives down in Hove, and I don't know when I'm going to see her again. And I kind of went, right, I've stopped drinking as well. You know, I stopped drugs when I was like a long time ago when I turned 40, but I've stopped drinking, and I might not resume. And I'm trying to reset myself and trying to get into a new kind of mojo, if you see what I mean. So I've been. If you pay too much attention to the news, it can bring you down right now because there's a lot of celebrities going on holiday and a lot of nonsense going on in politics, and the world has gone to shit. And it's really hard to kind of get some sunshine into your life. And I think it's down to the individual to pick themselves up. And that's what I'm trying to do at the moment.
That's really interesting that you said about the digital detox. So that includes social media, everything?
I look at social media. I'm just not posting because if I posted right now, I'd take a picture of myself naked in the corner eating my own shit. So I don't want to bring that kind of crap on people. You know what I mean?
Well, I'd say, well. Thanks for doing the podcast. I didn't realise things were so bad.
No, I'm a really upbeat, quite positive guy, and but it's just this year. It's just. You want things to get better, and they just don't seem to be getting quite better, quite quick enough right at the moment. You know, and it just, I need to kind of. January is a good month to reset yourself. It really is.
Yeah.
It can set you up for the year if you make positive steps in this month. I don't make New Year's resolutions, but I think January is a really, really good year to kind of map out. A really good month to map out your year, and I want another solo album out. The Wildhearts will record an album. We'll do a live stream, and hopefully the world will start getting back up on its feet, you know, this year. So I'm going to be prepared for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so in lockdown 1, were you mainly working on your solo album?
I worked at my solo album. I was doing lyric sheets. I was doing my source. I did new T-shirts. I was literally just working all the time. And I didn't see my girlfriend for 3 months during the first lockdown because she's down in Brighton and I'm here. And it was. I didn't stop, and I made sure I didn't get up, too down about things. And I got my 6-year-old as well. He keeps me on my toes all the time. But it's just, since Christmas hit, I stopped for a week, and I don't normally stop. I'm quite a hyperactive person, and I actually just stopped for about 5 or 6 days, and I'm trying to get started. I don't know what to do. I'm looking for the key. I've lost it.
Right. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. It's almost
I've relaxed too much,
Yeah, it's like going back to the gym, and you go back to the gym after a break, and you think that you can do what you were doing before you stopped, and then you soon realise that it's like, oh shit, right, okay, I've got to kind of like reset my goals.
But I'm good. I'm actually, I wrote a new song today, and I'm going to start recording it tomorrow because I have a little home setup where I record all my solo stuff. So I do demos, like completed demos for the Wildhearts. So I'm going to start recording tomorrow. So it's really good, and I think I needed a break. You can't work all the time. It's like you burn out, and I needed the break, and now I just need to, start up again. So if you stop, I'm just going to end up flat ass broke. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, because it's ultimately we're all self-employed, and we're unable to do what we do at the moment. So I've been doing stand-up for 25 years, and I really miss that. I mean, I managed one show in September, a socially distanced show. Wow. In Newcastle under Lyme, which was weird, and I mean, this is the least gigs I've done. I'm sure it's the same for you. It's the least gigs I've had in a year for 25 years, and it's just there's frustration as well, and there's also a part of me that starts thinking, what am I going to be like when I get back to it?
I'm worried about that as well. I mean, I'm actually consciously getting fitter. For that very reason, because when I come back out on stage, I want to be on stage like fucking RuPaul. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like the Elephant Man.
Yeah,
I want to be strutting my stuff out on stage. We're not young men anymore, but we can still shape up and me and Ginge jump around like Muppets on stage still. But we're not kids, and when we do come back, I want to come back a better, stronger version of what we were. In 2020.
I know the feeling, mate. I mean, I found that I'd kind of accidentally quit alcohol in lockdown 1, by just not being in pubs 3 or 4 nights a week playing shows. So that made a huge difference, and the change in lifestyle. And I've ended up losing about a stone and a half in lockdown, and I think I have been carrying that needless weight. I've been carrying that around with me for God knows how long.
When you stop drinking, it's amazing the effect it has on your body when you stop drinking.
Yes.
Like after a few weeks, how clear your skin is and your eyes are brighter, and it's you wake up. Like I said, I'm finding it hard to get going, but I wake up and I'm always in a really good mood. And when I actually started hitting the bottle during lockdown. A lot of people did though, didn't they, last year?
Oh yeah.
Because of circumstances, but. I was waking up and not feeling brilliant, and you just automatically, come gin o'clock or wine o'clock or whiskey o'clock, whatever o'clock it is, you'd have a drink and fool yourself that you're feeling better. But it wasn't until I actually stopped drinking, and I mean stopped drinking completely, that after a few weeks I was like, I actually feel really, really good, and I know what the problem was last year, and it wasn't too many Big Macs.
Yeah, but the thing is, you have to. I think, like myself, you live alone, and you have to keep an eye on yourself.
You do, yeah. I tell you what, my my nanny is my son because I have a 6-year-old and I co-parent, so he's with me half of the time and with his mum half of the time. So whenever he's here, he keeps me in line. I mean, if I didn't have my boy here, and my girlfriend still lives down in Brighton, I mean, God knows what I would have been doing. I mean, things would have got voodoo around here. Chickens would have died.
Yeah, God knows what would have happened. There would have been hot sauce everywhere.
I mean, we have to hook up, man. Next time, once all this shit's gone, we should hook up. Definitely.
Oh, definitely. Well, look, next time I'm heading home, I will be. Well, I spent the whole of Christmas in Knaresborough. I only came back on Monday, and I thought it was great to be home. It really was. It was a shame, obviously, that pretty much everything is shut. But as I said before, just seeing the countryside and everything else again, it reminds me of what a kind of beautiful part of the world is.
Do you know that road in Knaresborough, Abbey Road? The one that goes
mate!
The big house, man.
Wow.
God! I used to live just behind that road, but I used to walk down there every day. But that road, it's just, for me, it's just, I've been all around the world and lived all around the world, but that's just one of my favourite places on planet Earth, that road. It's just, what
wouldn't you give for one of those gorgeous houses backing onto the river as well?
It's like the Shires down there, and you expect to see like elves and sort of hobbits walking around and stuff. And because I used to live, it was a 3-4 minute walk from my front door, and then anyone used to come and stay at my house. I could come with me, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, so you're in a different world here." So they were just their jaws would just hit the floor at how beautiful it was. And Knaresborough actually doesn't sound that nice, does it? It's like, it's just, it doesn't sound like it's going to look like it does. It's so beautiful, that town.
And then you've got the iconic view, just like from the castle of the viaducts.
It's like Legoland, isn't it? It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely stunning. It really is. I tell you what, we're doing a great job for Knaresborough Tourist Board here, aren't we?
Actually, anyone's going to listen to us. You should never come to Knaresborough. It's horrible. It's really horrible. There's a reason why I live here, because I'm built of steel and I'm hard enough to live here. Just stay where you live. Don't come here.
Don't pay us a visit. Well, my friends of mine own the Blind Jack's pub that's on the Market Square.
Oh, yes, I don't drink ale. Right? I'm from the south, man. I'm a lager boy. Me and Richie were like premium lager boys, and an ice cold lager.
Oh, don't you worry about that, mate. They do plenty of IPAs
that's horrible. I used to have a guest lager. I used to drink that. It was the first place I ever started drinking when I moved to Knaresborough, and mistakenly people thought I was a fan of ale, and I've tried about 70 or 80 ales, and I'm still waiting for the one that tastes like an ice cold Peroni.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's like, you've got all of the regulars with their tankards with beer with leaves in it and all sorts, and you're just thinking
they're sweet, aren't they? Ales. They've got that kind of. They've got a. I don't know. They've got a weird aftertaste. It's. I remember. It's. I don't know. It's. You know what I mean? Ales.
Yeah. It's never really done it for me, but pop in there anyway next time you're around, because they've modernised the whole place, and it's
they had last time I drank there was probably about 2 years ago, and they had a micro brewery in there, and they're brewing their own ales, and the guy behind there gave me a little like thimble full of. Oh God! I had to lick my own arse to get rid of the taste, man. Horrible.
and you've drunk beer all over the world.
I have. I like lager. If you give me an ice cold like Peroni or a San Miguel and a sardine on a stick, I'm happy, man.
Well, but look, mate, that is quite a cool place to leave it for now, because I've got some subscriber questions. So if you can hang around for another sort of 20 minutes, I've got some subscriber questions. But for now,
I've got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I'm sewed in here.
Well, look, thanks for that part anyway. I really appreciate it.
Brilliant.
And he stayed and did another half hour for patrons, if you want to hear that. There is, wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast, there is a link in the description. It says support this podcast. Click on that, takes you straight to my Patreon page. $5 a month gets you in. There is about 400 posts for you to download once you get in there, going back, I think, 2-3 years. All sorts of behind the scenes stuff. And of course, you get your own video podcast once a month. You get to ask questions of guests and all the rest of it. So come on down. Everybody who signs up, seriously, everybody who signs up says, been meaning to do this, finally here, wish I'd done it ages ago. It's fucking great. And seriously, the patrons listening to this will be going, no, he's right, you know, he's right. He is right. Anyway, that's enough about all of that shit. How much fun was that? How cool is CJ? It was so fucking brilliant being able to catch up with a guy that I haven't seen for so long. And I've said this before, I'm sure, but there is some sort of brotherhood, some sort of kinship. I don't know, however you want to describe it, but when just knowing, I mean, you know, we went out a few times on like press trips and stuff like that, and in reality, we probably hardly know each other. Well, we know each other a lot better now, as you've been listening to. But because of what we experienced, at what age we experienced, there is a bond that is built there that is just, it's indestructible and it's indescribable. So I won't go on about it too much. And I'm aware some of you might be thinking, ooh, you know, this is a bit, you know, I'm disappearing up my own arse here. It's all a bit arty. Well, fuck you. Expand your brain. It's really it's brilliant. I've taken on something that is impossible to describe, and I've already said that, and yet I'm going to continue to try. All I can say is that we just meet up. I know that when I meet up with CJ, because we've agreed to, because obviously we've, you know, swapped places where we live. So next time I'm up there, we're going to go out for some food, catch up, and I know we will have an absolute blast of a night. We will have loads in friends in common, and it will be like no time has passed at all since the last time we were having beers 20-30 years ago. It's just weird. That's all I'm saying. It's just fucking weird, isn't it? It is weird. But anyway, great fun doing that. Really enjoyed my time hanging out with CJ. Just a thoroughly lovely bloke, and do check out his solo stuff as well. I will put a link up because I know a lot of you like sort of like thrashy stuff, and his latest solo album is very thrashy and worth a listen by all means. And I know we're all after some serious fucking music, aren't we? Right, okay. Now, bear with me. I am going to have to make some notes here, otherwise I'm going to forget what bloody links I'm supposed to be giving you all. Right, there's some live housekeeping for you. So please, you know, do play. Fucking shut up, will you? Fucking parakeets. Honestly, I do love them. They've really helped me out in lockdown, to be honest. I mean, as I sit in my lounge at the moment, which is where I do the podcast, I'm looking out. I've got a balcony, got a tree directly outside the balcony, and in a couple of hours I'll have about 5 or 6 bright green squawking parakeets going mental in the tree, fighting over food in the feeders that hang out for them. It's absolutely mental, and I do like them because they're just total. But listen, I'll bloody stop as soon as I do that. But they're seriously just. Fucking squawking bastards. And when you're trying to do an interview, right, okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this, I'm just going to put the mic out the window so you can get some idea of how mad this sounds. Hang on a second. And that's nothing. The little bastard, as soon as I wanted to record him, he shut up, and then when he did start squeaking, he was flying off out the in the bloody distance, which is a bit annoying. But anyway, it's probably just as well I didn't do that, because believe you me, their squawking would have shot your ears. You'd have taken your earphones out or wherever you're listening to this and sworn to never listen to this podcast again. And you know what? Fair play to you. If that's the route you want to go down, fair enough. What can I say? Now, more interference from the little green gits. Anyway, look, it's always a pleasure doing this for you guys. It really is. And as I'm getting really, really bored of saying, you guys are the best way for this podcast to survive and to thrive. Please share away, sign up at Patreon. If you can help become part of the Talking Bollocks army, a bollocker. There's all sorts of fun things that involves, like when live gigs start again, you get to shout bollocks at a really loud volume. That's exciting. But other than that, seriously, it would be just help me out, help a brother out, I believe the phrase is. And get involved. Follow on Instagram. Instagram is now up and it's a real thing. Twitter is up. Facebook is up. The numbers are going up. I'm getting a lot of Motorcast listeners who are coming to the party as well, which is absolutely brilliant. And so also, if you've been listening to this and you haven't listened to the Motorcast yet, go and listen to the Motorcast. Now, even if you're not a Motorhead fan, give it a listen, because it is just it's stories about the music business from an era that is well gone now, and it's certainly worth, in my opinion, well, I would say this, wouldn't I? I fucking host it, but I really do think it is worth the time out of your day. But who am I to know? I don't know what's important in your day. I don't know what you've got lined up for today. You might have heart surgery lined up for today, in which case, yeah, probably don't want to waste your time listening to an episode of Talking Bollocks or the Motorcast for that matter. However, if you have got open heart surgery, let's just say you're actually, well, you're going to be a patient, aren't you? Because you're not going to be an open heart surgeon specialist and be listening to Talking Bollocks. I think that's probably not going to happen. Although, if there is any heart surgeons out there, please do get in touch and let me know. Anyway, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure, as always. Please do keep listening. Check out all the links in the description to the podcast. And as always, I will be back with you in a couple of weeks with more exciting guests. Speak to you then.